everyone. Welcome back to Be Creative Stamping. As many of you know, I earned the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip to Alaska. This year, it's going to be an Alaskan cruise. And I've decided to create some swaps for the trip. This is always optional. You don't have to create swaps, but it's nice to get some fresh new ideas when a new catalog becomes available. And so I've decided to create this as my incentive trip swap, and I'm going to show you how I created it. First, let me show you where you can find it in the 2018 Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. The Sea of Textures stamp set is part of the Tranquil Textures suite. And you'll notice in the book, beginning on page 154, you'll see tons of wonderful ideas. And then if you flip the page to 155, you'll see the stamp set. And then you'll see all the coordinating products for this suite. Now, in addition to the stamp set today, and by the way, here is the stamp set again. It's called the Sea of Textures. In addition to this stamp set, I'm also using timeless textures. And I'm going to use this stamped image right here. That's going to be my water spots. And let me show you the Framelits set. It's entitled Under the Sea. And you can see here all the different framelits that are included. And by the way, this sand dollar here is included. So you get 2 of these. And to see what they look like, let's flip this over. You'll see a school of fish. You'll see the sand dollars and coral and seaweed, the net, and these stars here come out of the sand dollars. This piece of coral here can also be stamped and then cut out. So just know this is one that has 2 ways of being used. And one other idea, if you cut out the school of fish, that can actually be some confetti inside of a shaker card. So definitely keep that in mind. And we're also going to use stitched shapes, and we're just using this circle here for stitch shapes. Let's start with some measurements. My card base is in Balmy Blue, and it measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and you're going to score it at 5.5 inches, and this becomes the card base. Now, there's another layer here. It's called Soft Seafoam. And it's right here, and this measures, let's see if I can pick this up. This measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And then the very vanilla piece, which is the piece that we're going to stamp on today, this is measuring 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Now here's some additional sheets of paper that you're going to need. You'll want a scrap piece of Very Vanilla because we're going to use that on the banner. Then you'll want a scrap piece of Sahara sand, and as you can see, it doesn't have to be very big to get the sand dollar to fit on it. So there's the sand dollar there. Your soft seafoam circle that you're actually going to be cutting out with the stitch shapes, you're going to want your scrap piece to be 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, okay? The circle actually measures about 2.5, but do allow some extra space around that for cutting. Also, for the net, this is going to measure 3 inches by 3 inches. And by doing that, you'll just position the net on the sheet of cardstock and then cut it out. So you'll see how close it is, but it does work. And then this Very Vanilla piece is 3 inches by 3 inches. And this is going to be for the octopus that we're going to stamp and cut out with the framelits. We're going to start with Balmy Blue and create a background for our ocean. And I'm going to use the textured looking stamped image. And for this, I'm actually going to stamp off and then stamp on the paper. So let me try and do this where you can see it. And I'm going to do, let's move that up. So stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp switching sides so that I won't have empty space on just one side. And I'll show you how I'm going to fill that in. But this is Balmy Blue ink, and I'm stamping off so that the water will not be too dark. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in those places. Just like that. And as you can see, it doesn't take very long to create this background. Okay. So that's our background. I think that'll be good. And now we're going to add some of the water spots from Timeless Textures. And I'm going to use Pool Party. And also, I'm going to stamp off on this as well, because I just want some subtle little drops of water. And, you know, some can be full strength and some can be stamped off. And this is really up to your discretion as to where you want it, okay? And again, I'm just kind of scattering these. And as you can see, I did some full strength as well as stamped off, okay? And I'm sure that's probably plenty. You can get a little carried away with this. So, of course, when you create your card, you can add as many or as little as you want. All right, so now we're ready for the plant, and I'll show you what this looks like. I don't know if it's seaweed or plant, but we're going to ink this in Pear Pizzazz, okay? All right, and I'm going to, the first one I stamp is going to be full strength. I'm sorry, I need to move this up so you can see what I'm stamping. Okay, so that's the first one, and instead of re-inking, I'm just going to stamp another one there. So some are going to be lighter than others, all right? And I'm also trying to make them different heights because plants don't grow straight in a row. So you can vary that as well, all right? And that should take care of that in Pear Pizzazz. And now we're going to add some coral in Cajun Craze. So this is just our little backdrop that we're creating. And I did stamp off on this as well, okay? There we go. And I think I'll add one more, and again, I did stamp off, okay? And if you look at the original card, I only have 2. So that's up to you as well, because it's your card. Now we're going to add some ink to some of our cutout images. I'm going to use Sahara Sand, and I'm going to ink up the net right here. I am going to stamp off so it's not too dark. And then I am just going to add it here, okay? And then I'll take our little sand dollar. I'm going to ink that in Sahara Sand as well, stamp off, and then add some water spots to the sand dollar, okay? And then one more, we've got to do our words for this banner, and it's called You're One of a Kind. And actually, we're going to need some Pear Pizzazz ink for that. And then once this is stamped, this will get punched out. We're going to use this punch here, and I think it's the classic label punch, but I'm not sure. We're going to insert this, and when you go to punch it out, just have a little more paper on the left side because we're going to be wrapping that around a toothpick. So just be sure it's a little extra there, okay? And we'll use that a bit later. Now we're going to take our Night of Navy ink and ink up the octopus and then stamp him on the Very Vanilla cardstock. And I'm just going to press firmly because he's a big guy. And now he is ready for cutting out with the framelits. Okay, we're now ready to start the assembly of the card. And so we're going to start with the net. And just to show you, the net just scrunches up so easily. And of course, the more you scrunch it, the more it's going to look like a net. And it just kind of breaks up the fibers in the paper. So we're going to take this circle and we're going to add some snail on the back. All right. And then at this point, I'm ready to add my net to the back of it, okay? Now I'm going to add a little more snail, and I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but right here we have thread underneath, okay? And this is the linen thread. And again, this is certainly optional. So I am going to start, I'll just start by putting a piece of thread right here, okay? And then I'm just going to make a little loop, just like that. The nice thing about putting the snail here, if I need to move the thread, I can easily do that. All right. I can just pick it right up off the back, excuse me, and reposition it. So, all right. So I'm going to stop there, just like that. And now I'm going to add some dimensionals on the back. And I can even put some over the thread, and that'll secure it. Okay, and I'll put one more. I certainly don't need all of these, but sometimes I just get carried away with these dimensionals. All right. This card was also our June Hostess Club project. So some of my ladies have already made this. Okay, so now we're ready to just add this to the card base. Okay, and so now you can kind of see that thread behind there. And I've already taken the time to add the mini dimensionals to the back of the octopus. So he cuts out beautifully using the framelits. I'm just going to peel this off. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to add him just like that, okay? And let's see, our sand dollar right over here. Okay, hang on. All right, so let's see where I want to put this. And again, you have the option of putting this wherever you would like. I am going to, I guess I'll add a little bit of snail on here to just kind of hold that. Okay, and I just need to decide where I want to put it. And let's see. This is the hardest decision right here, is deciding where this little guy is going to go. Okay, so I'm going to stick with that. And I'm going to take a little piece of Tombow glue and put in the center. I'll zoom in a bit so that you can see where he goes. Lift up that little net. Whoops, I need tweezers. Okay, there he goes. All right. And so now I'm ready to add this to my card base. I haven't forgotten about the little banner. We'll just do that last. All right, so I'm going to add the soft seafoam to the back. And by the way, when I get back from the incentive trip, I will have to show you all my new swaps. Okay, so I'm going to center this. And I'm also going to have an inspiration sheet for you. And it'll be on my blog, and it will be under this video. And it will have measurements and supplies that were used. So if you're on YouTube right now, be sure to look under the video and read about where you can find it. There's going to be a link there under that video where you can come to the blog post and get that, okay? All right, and I'm going to put snail on this. Now, I certainly could have put this card together before adding all the elements on this sheet of cardstock, okay? So I've kind of done it in reverse. It can be done either way. All right, I'm just going to kind of center this. You've got about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So it's not much. Okay, now we're ready to add our banner, and this might be the most difficult part of all. I've taken some time to just kind of round this and break up the fibers on this end, okay? And then I'm going to add a glue dot, and I'm going to take this toothpick, and I am going to start rolling the paper around the toothpick. And actually, that's working really well. In the past, I've taken some Tombow glue and put on the toothpick and rolled the paper around, and it gets really messy and sticky. I kind of like that. And I'm going to use actually one more glue dot. And I'm just going to tuck that in here, okay, and roll some more. And that is the first time that I've tried that, and I like that the best. It's very, very simple. Okay, so our little octopus, he has all these cute little holes here that we can use to tuck the toothpick in. And so I'm just going to tuck it right in there. Okay, and I'm going to leave it up some, and so that's what it's going to look like. You can also take some of the mini dimensionals and put one back there, and then get it to attach to the card base. So this is my Alaska incentive trip swap. I hope you like it, and I hope you'll make one. Send me a picture as well. And when I get back from Alaska, I'll share all of my new swaps with you. Thanks so much for buzzing by.